Thank you, Mr. President. With all the guns that we just gave away, our program is very timely today.
Yeah.
I have with me Gary Blalock from U.S. LawShield. I think you're going to find the program very interesting, and he will be taking questions as he goes along. So would you please join me in welcoming Gary Blalock. Thank you, Gary.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Is that mic picking me up okay? Cool. As Benny said, my name is Gary Blalock. I'm a member of Texas and U.S. LawShield. I've been a member longer than I've actually worked for the company. I became a member back in 2009 when I ran into a former Marine my brother served with at the George R. Brown Gun Show. And because of an incident I was involved with 20 years ago in a force or deadly force situation at my nightclub, it led me to become a member. And I went to work for him about 6 months later after becoming a member. A little bit about me: I've resided in Montgomery County for over 30 years. My wife likes me to tell everybody I live in Conroe, but I actually reside in a little place called Cut and Shoot, Texas. I have fun with that, and because of what I do for a living, I'm involved with guns and gun law and so forth. So it's kind of fun to hear where you're from, something Cut and Shoot. But Texas and U.S. LawShield was founded by the law firm Walker, Rice & Wisdom in 2009. They saw a need for legal defense for self-defense, for individuals, for gun owners and so forth. Something that will provide your legal defense for you so it doesn't break the bank and you don't have to go into your Dave Ramsey emergency fund, your 401k, exhaust what you've worked most of your life for, whether you're 21, whether you're 71, 91, doesn't matter, because legal representation is not cheap and lawyers don't work for free. So hence Texas LawShield was born. We started off with three program attorneys, 500 member guides, and a dream, an idea, 2009. Today we have over 60 program attorneys just in the state of Texas. We have U.S. LawShield in 45 other states. We have over 600,000 members in our LawShield family today. All we do now is specialize in force and deadly force law. This is our 4th edition book, Texas Gun Law, Armed and Educated. If you want to know about gun law, it's in here. My son likes to give me a hard time. He says, "Hey, Dad, you know that book you have up in your office, DOS for Dummies?" Because I don't get along with computers very well. A lot of us will remember that. He says, "Gun Law for Dummies." He read this book when he was 15 years old. There's no big $500 words in it. He says, "Dad, I understood everything I read in it." So, there you go. We're big on education. We like to come out and speak to people. Texas LawShield, what we do is provide legal defense for self-defense, both criminally and civilly. Now, how many people in here are licensed carry holders? Raise your hands. All right. How many people here are members? I know Betty is, of Texas and U.S. LawShield. All right. Now, how many people in here, now this is an easy question, I should see all hands go up. How many of y'all own a weapon? Everybody's hands should go up, not just a firearm, because I specified weapon. It could be a baseball bat, a golf club, anything, kitchen knife. So we all own a weapon. And if y'all was put in a situation, being attacked or home invasion, would you all use any means necessary to survive that altercation? And would you use force or deadly force if that meant your survival?
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's why we exist now. When we started in 2009, we were a firearms program. We recently introduced another part to the program this year, which is we cover our members now with force or deadly force with any legal weapon. Doesn't matter what you use. Your hands, a firearm, your vehicle. Someone's trying to rob this young lady in a parking garage. She's in her vehicle. Vehicle's running. She's not going to be a victim. The guy's holding her at gunpoint. She runs him down. She's covered underneath the program because she used turned her vehicle into a weapon. So we all agree that we'll use force or deadly force. Now, in those situations, though, you're going to require legal representation, correct? That's why we cover you both criminally and civilly. The criminal side being the grand jury in all states. The grand jury reviews all these cases and they make a determination of no bill or true bill. No bill means you are justified in your actions of force or deadly force. No bill means there will not be a trial. True bill, on the other hand, means that your case now goes to trial in front of a judge and jury. You're going to be indicted on criminal charges. But either way, no bill or true bill has one thing in common for all of us in this room. We're going to need the services of what?
Lawyer.
A lawyer. They don't work for free. When you're a member of LawShield, again, we provide that with no cap on the hours of the legal fee hours. It's $10.95 a month. The criminal side, like I said, grand jury, no bill or true bill. Then you have the civil side of it. The civil side being maybe wrongful death, or you injured that individual that was trying to rob you. Now he wants to sue you because you maimed him. And folks, I see it every day. I see cases all the time. Wrongful death. Oh, well, you know, you shot him in the leg because you weren't trying to kill him. You maimed him. Now he wants to sue you and wants you to support him for the rest of his life because he was breaking into your home, going to rob you. So that's why we cover our members criminally and civilly. Example, 20 years ago, I was put in a situation at my nightclub. I'm a Harley mechanic by trade. I'm not a public speaker. I had a heck of a time getting through drama class in high school. But public speaking was one of my fears, and my job with LawShield allowed me to overcome my public speaking fear. I still stumble around a little bit. But I'm a Harley mechanic by trade. I own several nightclubs in my community. I also own a paint and body shop restoration company. 20 years ago at my nightclub, I was put in that force or deadly force situation by two young men. They'd started an altercation or a fight in my club. I was not on property at the time. I'd just gone home to check on my newborn son. And I get a phone call from my bartender that a fight had broken out and that one of the young men that started this fight assaulted my female manager when she tried to get him to disperse and break up. I'm just right down the street from the club when I get the phone call. I'm coming around the corner still on the phone with my employee, and she hollered out across the club to let everybody know that I was almost back and let the two young men know that the boss was almost here and they were going to go to jail because they assaulted one of my employees. Well, the two young men ran out the front door. And I told my bartender, I said, do not engage them, just go to the door and tell them what they're driving. She said, they just got into a red Toyota Camry. I still drive this vehicle today. It's a 2000 Ford F-350 long bed power stroke diesel. My wife calls it my redneck tank. And I'm driving that particular evening, and I see the car, so I just pull my truck into the exit, and I bail out. The car's coming towards me. I put my hand up. The kid stops, sticks his head out the window, starts hollering, what do you think you're doing, old man? Get out of my way. I'm trying to leave. I introduced myself. I said, I'm the owner of the nightclub. I've been told you both you young men were involved in an altercation. Supposedly, you, the driver, assaulted one of my female employees. You boys need to exit the vehicle. We need to talk. I don't care who you are, mister. I'm not getting out of my car, and I'm not stopping. I said, well, 20 years ago, I thought I was 20 foot tall and bulletproof, too. I said, I'm not moving. He came at me with that car, figuring I'd get scared and jump out of the way. I took one step back towards my truck. I unholstered my weapon. When the laser on my weapon made contact with his windshield, that young man hit the brakes, and him and his buddy both come bailing out of the car with their hands in the air. Mister, please don't shoot. We don't want any trouble. When I knew I was safe, I holstered my firearm. I asked Mary, my female bar manager. She was 25 years old, single mother, lived by herself in Conroe. Mary, do you want to press assault charges against this young man? What do y'all think Mary's comment was? No, she did not. She was afraid of retaliation. She says, Gary, you're not here every night because you've got a brand new baby at home. She says, a lot of times it's me and the girls. So she didn't press charges, but she asked me what I could do. And I said, well, I'll bar them from the club and the property. Let both boys know if you ever come back here again, I'm going to have you arrested for criminal trespassing. With that said, I moved my truck and I released them. Now I asked people, and I'm going to give you the Reader's Digest version of it and give you the answers. What did I do wrong that night 20 years ago? I didn't do really anything wrong. It was my ignorance of the law. Not knowing what to do, and LawShield didn't exist 20 years ago. Brandishing that weapon, not illegal. When they came at me with that car, it's assault with a deadly weapon. Detaining them against their will. I can detain them until law enforcement arrives. Folks, my only mistake that night was not calling the police and making an incident report. If you've used deadly force, you're going to call 911. We'll talk about 911. We'll talk about involvement with law enforcement and so forth, and your emergency hotline call. But that was my only mistake. And do bad people tell the truth? Monday morning, I get a phone call from a Montgomery County deputy sheriff. He informed me he had a warrant for my arrest for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. He said 2 young men came in the department, said Friday night, said nightclub, the crazy bar owner pulled a gun on him and threatened to kill him. Is that what happened? No. They fabricated their story, but they only told him part of it. Now, my bar manager and myself gave that officer a statement. I also followed it up with that I can provide witness testimony from at least 20 witnesses, and I can get them a copy of my security, my audio and video surveillance system that covered the parking lot in the club to prove everything I told him was correct. He said, Mr. Blalock, I don't think that's going to be necessary. We're familiar with you and your family. You've been in business in the community for a long time. We're going to table this arrest warrant, but do you have an attorney? No. 20 years ago, LawShield didn't exist. I had a dear friend of mine that was an attorney. His name was Richard. I got off the phone with the deputy, called Richard, told him what happened. Now, I'd been Richard's personal Harley mechanic for over 14 years. And we were buddies, and I told him what happened. He started giggling on the other end of the telephone. I said, Richard, what's so funny? I'm in serious trouble here. He says, yeah, I know. I said, okay, well, let me in on the joke. He said, Gary, I've known you for 14 years. You worked on all my Harleys. Your brother's custom painted 3 of them. We rode across this great country together. And what I find funny about your dilemma is I'm finally going to get some of that money I spent with you back. His fee 20 years ago was $7,500 to take a case like mine. He represented me for $3,500. That's still a lot of money. It took us 4 trips to court to finally convince the prosecutor that I was the innocent guy. I was the plaintiff, not the defendant. That's where I should have been. But because I didn't know the law and I didn't make that call, I ended up in a defendant's chair. I'm now out over $4,000. But I was found innocent, but it still cost me. And that's why I became a member of Texas LawShield, U.S. LawShield. Criminal cases, civil cases, we cover both. A lady I signed up in a church class a number of years back, about 7 years ago, shot and killed an intruder breaking into her home around midnight. She had called 911. She had established that timeline. But response time in some areas is a little longer than others. As before the door broke open, she'd given the individual several warnings. I have a gun, I've called the police, I will shoot. Before the door caved open, she put 2 rounds from her .357 through that front door. She killed the individual. Police finally arrived. During the investigation, it comes out that the intruder was not actually an intruder. It was her very drunk, intoxicated neighbor that was dropped off in front of her house instead of his. I guess his friends had his keys. He was so drunk, intoxicated, he tried to kick the door in, and it cost him his life. We had a no bill in less than 90 days. But during that same time frame, his estranged wife came in and filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Grandma in the tune of $3 million. We spent over 3 years, about 3 years and 2 months fighting that case. The judge ruled in our favor. But Grandma was 75 years old. She lived on a fixed income. Do you think she could have afforded those legal fees for over 3 years? No. And that's why we exist. So you don't have to go into your Dave Ramsey emergency fund, your 401k, your retirement, if you have to use force or deadly force. And real quick, I'm going to pause. Any questions that you'd like to ask real quick? I'll take some quick questions. Yes, sir, in the back.
You mentioned legal deals. What would consider illegal that you would be held responsible for? Everything legal for your protection?
What we would consider illegal where you would not be represented is if you went out and started robbing banks or you murdered somebody. You knowingly and willingly break the law. You go out and violate that law, of course, then you'd void your representation. But other than that, we cover everything. And I've seen hundreds of cases over the last 11 years across the states. And we've seen some pretty crazy ones. We haven't won all of them. We've had to make some deals where the fine was reduced or whatever. Only one case that we ever did lose, and that's because the guy acted prematurely. It was a deadly force. He ended up shooting and killing this individual at a post office around 11 o'clock one night. And we had a great trial. Everything was given to us that we needed. But his reaction was too quick. He pulled the trigger too fast without provocation, without just cause. And we lost that particular case. In 11 years, that's the only case that we've lost like that.
So who pays the fine? Who pays the money that's awarded to the person that y'all lose?
No. No, anything like that, as far as a civil lawsuit, if there would be monies awarded, that's up to y'all. We provide all the legal defense. We're not an insurance policy. We're legal defense for self-defense. Any other questions?
Yeah, how does your policy mesh with a conventional liability policy?
A liability policy is totally different because that is insurance. Liabilities have deductibles and so forth. We're not insurance, so we don't pay out claims. We have no deductible.
With the insurance, like if there's a lawsuit.
Oh yeah, we work hand in hand with their attorneys. Yeah, especially in Grandma's case, they went after the homeowner's insurance too. And we worked with the insurance company's attorney through the whole thing. You know, after an incident, you use force or deadly force, you're gonna call 911 because that's gonna establish your timeline. That's gonna put you also in the plaintiff's seat versus the defendant. 911 call, though, you need to keep short and simple. Do y'all realize from the time that phone rings, the recording starts? Everything on that call is admissible in court as evidence. It can be used for you. It can be used against you. I tell everybody in my classes and stuff, when you call 911, short and simple, directed to the point. 911, what's your emergency? Yes, ma'am, or yes, sir. I've been involved, there's been a burglary. I've been involved in, I'm sorry, there's been a burglary. I've been attacked, home invasion. Whatever your situation is, you're going to tell them that. Then you're going to say there's been a shooting if you had to shoot somebody. You're never, ever going to say you shot someone. There's been a shooting. I need an ambulance. That's the next thing. I need an ambulance and the police. My name is Barry. This is my address. This is my cell number. Please get someone here as soon as possible. All right, Barry, stay on the phone with me. Ma'am, I don't know if this guy's by himself or not. I got to protect myself and my family. A 5-county survey has showed in most home invasions, robberies, burglaries, carjackings, do you think that individual's by himself?
No.
No. Usually 3 perpetrators involved. You get off the phone with 911. If you're a member, of course everybody has a member card. You have access to an attorney 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to your LawShield attorney on the emergency hotline. I tell everybody, program this number into your speed dial. When you call this number, whether it be 4 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 o'clock in the morning, Christmas morning, it's answered by a LawShield attorney. That attorney is going to instruct you what to do and what to say when the police arrive. You've discharged a weapon. You've used deadly force. Now, Barry, can I pick on you? Benny, I'm sorry. Benny, let's say Benny was robbed and he shot somebody. Now, when police arrive and come and start questioning you, Benny, do you think that he should give those officers a statement? No. And his LawShield attorney, because Benny is a member, his LawShield attorney is going to instruct him what to do. All right, Benny, I know you're upset, you're a little rattled and stuff. When the police arrive, an officer is going to start questioning you. I want you to tell them this and this only. Then I want you to inform them. You're a member of Texas and U.S. LawShield. Your LawShield attorney has been dispatched, is en route. You're a little rattled. You need some time to calm down. But as soon as your LawShield attorney arrives, you'll be more than happy. You guys will comply and give them a full and complete statement and tell them what happened. But you're not going to make that statement until your LawShield attorney is present, because they will make the statement for you. They will tell them what's going on, because they can change your statement. You cannot. They'll also tell you to invoke your Miranda rights, which are on the back of your card. Your Miranda rights are your 4th, 5th, 6th Amendment. You're going to invoke those Miranda rights and not say anything until they get there. And you'll just sit there. Once we arrive, then we'll sit down and talk with you, and then give the officers a statement. Any questions on any of that? Okay. Any other questions on what? Yes, sir.
I got a question about a license to carry. I had a friend that was checking into the airport to get his boarding pass, and he had left his driver's license in his truck, but he had a license to carry, and they wouldn't accept that as a valid form of identification. Does your company work with stuff like that?
Yeah, we will work with stuff like that, and I still don't think to this day, again, I'm not an attorney, I'm not giving you legal advice. I'm not sure, I've heard over different times that you can use your license or your gun license as identification, but I don't think people are accepting it at this point in time.
I mean, he finally got on his flight, but it was a 30-minute hassle right
Oh, yeah.
away.
Mm-hmm.
Polk County doesn't recognize it either.
Who?
Polk County.
Okay.
You would think that they would recognize it, but as far as I know, they don't. It's just your state driver's license, but there's, to me, at LTC's, it's all the same information on it. Another question back there in the back.
If there's an altercation and no weapon is used, do you still call 911?
Can you give me an example?
Someone approaches you in the parking lot at a gas station, yelling at you, you get out and, yell back.
Yell back?
Yeah.
No, if a weapon's not brought out, not used, there was no physical violence or anything, or physical altercation, I would not see any reason to call 911. I had a similar instance like that back when my son was in junior high. There was a guy who was road rage, and those are a lot of the cases we see as road rage. He followed me, where I live, they had a lot of construction right there, so you had to merge into one lane. And I merged in front of him, and he's back behind me telling me he's my #1 fan and stuff. And I don't get mad. I just smile and I wave in the rear view mirror and giggle. And I'm laughing the whole time because, I mean, we're all trying to get to where we're going. Why are you getting so mad? And my normal routine is I pull into McDonald's, I go get my breakfast, and this fella follows me into McDonald's. He gets out of his car. Now I've got my door open, I'm standing behind my door. He didn't know it was me from Adam. And he's screaming and yelling that if I come out from behind that door, what he's going to do. I'm going to be going on and on and on. And this guy's in a pair of dress slacks and a tie. I'm figuring, boy, he must have had a bad morning. And I just looked at him, I said, man, I'm sorry if you're bad, but I said, you don't want to pursue this any farther. And the whole time I'm standing like this. I've got my hand on my pistol. And then he starts going off, well, you come out from behind that door, I'll kill you. At that point in time, I'd learned my lesson years ago when I got in trouble over that assault with a deadly weapon deal. I got back in my car, plus my job with LawShield, I've learned a lot. I don't want to be on the 6 o'clock news and my company see their district manager brandish a weapon at McDonald's parking lot in Conroe. I get back in my car, I said, I'm sorry you're having a bad day. And I go to leave and I got my phone out. I just drive by and take a picture of his license plate. He tries to punch me through the window of my car. I hit the gas and hit the back window on the driver's side. I sent that information to my law enforcement sergeant buddy in Montgomery County and kept on going. But road rage is a crazy thing. I mean, was there an altercation there? No. Did I brandish my weapon? No. No physical or nothing. But I still turned in a report to my buddy. I said, this guy threatened me. I said, but I don't want to get in trouble. I learned from 20 years ago by not calling and making at least a report. Now, your deal, verbal exchange, I don't really see a necessity to call and make a report on that. But if, someone's threatening you like that in a road rage case, or you would have to reach for your weapon, always call and make a report. It's better to be safe than sorry. Because all that stuff costs money if you got to go to court. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
I got one, has nothing to do with this.
Okay.
Did you ever meet Roy Harris?
Roy Harris from Cut and Shoot?
Yeah.
No, sir, I have not. No, sir, I have not, but I hear his name all the time.
I bet.
Now, we cover you. When you're a member, again, it can be with any legal weapon, does not matter, force, deadly force. And again, it's $10.95 a month. We also have electives for those of us that travel outside the state. We have multi-state coverage. That's an additional $2.95. It covers you in all 50 states. We have bail bonds, expert witness, minor child coverage, spousal coverage. Your spouse, an individual does not even have to have a license to carry to be a member of Texas and U.S. LawShield. I hear Michael Berry talk about it all the time on his morning show. Is there any other questions, though? I'm going to say, yes, sir.
You got a senior discount?
The senior discount, well, I got a discount. Anybody that signs up here at the deal today is you can do it monthly or annual if you're on a budget. Everybody will get Platinum Plus. It locks their rating for the lifetime of their membership. Everybody will also get When I Can Legally Shoot here in the state of Texas. This is the rules and regulations. And the coverage is immediate. You get your temporary card, your permanent one comes in the mail. And then if you do it annual, you'll get 2 months for free per member. And anybody that signs up annual day, I bought about 12 of these books with me. Anybody that does annual will get a free copy of Texas Gun Law Armed and Educated. And also anybody that does annual, I'm going to give them the gun shotgun class. This is a class, the Marine that got me into this, Dwayne McBride's a former Marine Corps scout sniper and a field medic. This class we do now online because of the whole pandemic. 3 hours, this 3-hour online class will teach you how to apply a tourniquet, how to pack a wound, how to save a life. Not only yours, maybe somebody else's. So you're going to get a book and a certificate for signing up annual today. If you do a couple, you'll get a book and a certificate and 2 certificates, but you'll just get 1 book. And that's the perk for signing up annual. You can save close to $100 by signing up annual today. And there's no contract, you can cancel at any time.
I don't have to carry, but, it's kind of like, there's a lot of disadvantages also to having that carry permit. I've always been told, like, if you get pulled over, your breathalyzer is 0.5 instead of 0.8.
I've never heard that. I've never had an altercation with an officer of the law being pulled over. A lot of times I had several of them thank me for having my license to carry. Now, I never heard the deal about your license to carry affecting you on a breathalyzer either.
Gary, where do you have to have the weapon? I mean, go over, if you have even if you have a carry permit, where do you have to have the gun in the car?
Good question. Transporting a firearm, whether you have a license to carry or not, you can transport a firearm with you in your vehicle also under the Castle Doctrine. So you don't have to have a license to carry. Now, the law states it has to be concealed out of reasonable sight. A lot of people say, oh, I'll just stick it underneath my seat. That's all fine and dandy. It is out of reasonable sight. What if you hit the brakes? Or you get in a wreck and you forget about, you're all twisted about the wreck. Officer walks up and there's a pistol laying in visible sight on your floorboard. Well, now you can get in trouble for that. That's why I always say keep it secured out of reasonable sight. That way if they come up, and you can stick it in a Whataburger bag on your front seat. As long as they can't see it, it's concealed out of reasonable sight. And again, your license to carry allows you to carry it wherever, unless it's posted. But under the Castle Doctrine, you can have that firearm in your vehicle. You just can't carry it into Walmart or into church with you. Yes, sir.
Over that, you're just talking about pistols, right? Not shotguns and rifles.
Shotguns and rifles do not have to be concealed out of sight. I mean, as hunters, we're going to have those in the back seat of our car or in a, my truck's got one of them nice things on the back seat. I slide them in. So they're not just laying on the back seat, but no.
Is that the same thing about the reach? Does it have to be out of reach?
It has to be out of reach in certain states, but not the state of Texas. The state of Texas, you can have that weapon in your vehicle, that firearm, that pistol in your vehicle, and you can have it fully loaded. Because what's the bullets going to do you any good in the trunk and it unloaded? Pardon me? Yes, ma'am.
What if you go to like a hotel and you don't want to leave your rifle, you're on a hunting trip, you don't want to leave your rifles in your truck because they might get stolen? Are you allowed to carry those rifles into the lobby and check in?
I would not carry them into the lobby and check in with me. I would go check in.
You got to go, well, if you stay in a nice hotel, you got to go through inside to get through.
Yeah, and then a lot of times they got a side door you can go through too.
Okay.
Just in the cases, I don't let them know that when I do that because I don't want them getting all panicked or I don't want someone to know I got rifles in my room or a pistol.
Guitar case, that's it. Yeah.
But see, that also falls back again under the Castle Doctrine. When you rent that motel room, that is your domicile for that particular point in time.
Okay.
So that's just like your home because you're renting that room. That is your castle at that point in time.
So legally you can take it in?
Legally you can. I was in Lake Somerville here a while back and I walked in and we're there for a rally and we're also talking Texas LawShield and I see a sign above the check-in counter, firearms prohibited. And my buddy and I, we both work for LawShield. I kick him in the leg and we started giggling and she made some comment and we act like we didn't know what the sign. I said, no, we just saw something outside we was laughing about. She's a pretty sharp young lady. She says, that sign's there by owner's request. She says, I don't enforce it. And she says, what did you guys find so funny about it? I said, well, we work for Texas and U.S. LawShield, and that sign is about not legal at all. She says, I know, but that makes the owners happy. So yeah, I mean, because you're renting the room. I mean, they can push it, and if someone does that, my deal is, okay, I'll go somewhere else. I don't have to spend my money here. Just like the 30-06, 30-07 signs. 30-06 sign, I don't have to go into business. It tells me I can't carry my weapon in there. And, it's just, I like to know that I can protect myself and my family. And I'm real happy with what I do for a living. I'm proud of Texas LawShield and what we've done and what we do for people. Because, I've been through that whole legal gambit. It's a nightmare. And I think everybody should have some type of protection. I talked to one of the gentlemen. He has one of the other companies. There's other companies like ours, but we're the only one that has no cap on the hours of representation, legally, criminally, or civilly, and very inexpensive program. I stopped and got kolaches this morning for breakfast before I left, before I hit the road. That's $5. Heck, I cut that out twice a month. I've covered the basic coverage out of my diet, and I'll probably lose a few pounds. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
You mentioned the Castle Doctrine. In Texas, where does that extend? Do you extend over the whole ranch or just the house? Or?
Castle Doctrine, the particular Castle Doctrine is covered The house.
Just the house.
Just the house. Now, here's two different things, and you can still use force or deadly force in a theft or robbery or burglary. In this case, your garage is attached to your house, okay? That makes it part of your castle. Your garage is detached from your house. It is not part of your castle. So he's running out of your garage with stuff, you really can't shoot him.
All right, so like a poacher or something out there, we can hold him, but we can't shoot him unless he points at us. That's a real thing here.
That's a real thing. A poacher?
Yes.
Yeah, you can hold him. If it's after dark though, and you're in fear for your life, that's up to you. That's where you have to follow your moral compass. Yeah. Am I going to take it's like I tell people, he's running out of my garage, it's detached from my house with my DeWalt drill kit. Am I going to shoot him over that? No. Am I going to try to stop him? Yes, I am. I am going to try to stop him. Now, he drops that bag and he makes a quick movement as he's reaching for something. I'm going to shoot him. Because at that point, I'm in fear for my life. But I will never stand in front of a class and advocate taking another human being's life. It's not, that DeWalt toolkit is not worth it. But if I think he's got a gun, he's going to shoot me, my life is definitely worth it, and I'll pay the consequences. And that's why I have Texas and U.S. LawShield, because I'm not going to lose over $4,000 or $10,000 or $20,000 again in my lifetime. I've worked too hard at 59 for what I have to spend it because all I was doing is defending my family or my property.